This is Fox 24 Morning News at 7.
Good morning. We're going to be in Panama City Beach, Florida, where people are bracing for the impacts of Hurricane Michael.
Omar Jimenez is actually down there on the Panhandle as preparations continue. We've seen video of people already clearing the shelves of water and bread. What other preparations are being done? Good morning to you, Omar.
Hurricane Michael still a Category 1 this morning, but is expected to intensify over the course of today, and by tonight could be as high as a Category 3. Now, it's not expected to hit here in the Florida Panhandle until around midday tomorrow, but today officials warning residents it is your last chance to get all of your preparations in order.
I normally laugh these things off, but this one I'm taking a little bit more serious because it does look like it's going to do a direct hit the Panama City area.
It could be the first major hurricane to hit the Florida Panhandle in years, and many residents aren't taking any chances.
We had people at our doors at 5:30 this morning wanting to come in. We opened at 6. By 6:15, we sold out of every generator we had.
Hurricane Michael is threatening more than 300 miles of coast along the Gulf from Florida to Alabama. The storm has been strengthening over the last few days. The National Weather Service says it could hit land as a Category 3 hurricane, packing winds at more than 110 miles per hour. Florida Governor Rick Scott declared a state of emergency for several counties. Mandatory as well as voluntary evacuation orders are already in place for some areas.
This storm will be life-threatening and extremely dangerous. We're expecting 4 to 8 inches of rain, and some areas might see 12 inches of rain.
And in Alabama, a statewide state of emergency has been declared. Authorities in both states urging residents to heed all warnings.
Be cautious of it and get out if you have to. Get safe. We can put a building back. We can't put you back.
Now, here in Panama City, we are now officially under a mandatory evacuation notice as of just about 1 minute ago, and they've broken it up into various zones, A through D, with places enlisted as A, like along the beach where I'm standing right now, as the places that are going to have the highest potential for storm surge. So as we progress over the course of today, we'll get a good idea as to how many people are actually heeding those warnings and getting out of town. Reporting live from Panama City Beach, I'm Omar Jimenez.
Omar, thank you. While Michael is expected to make landfall in Florida, the Low Country not out of harm's way.
Emily Gracie is here to tell us how this could impact us here in the Low Country. Emily.
Well, we are expecting those impacts here in the Low Country. Right now, things are quiet, but I want to give you the latest on Michael, a Category 1 hurricane. Take a look here. The winds with Michael, 90 miles per hour, moving to the north-northwest right now at 12 miles per hour. It's about 420 miles south of Panama City. We are expecting this to strengthen quite a bit over the next 24 hours. In fact, it could become a major hurricane before making landfall along that coast of Florida. So we'll be watching exactly where it makes landfall. The strongest surge will be just to the right of that landfall. So a Category 3 hurricane certainly has some strong winds with it, but also the storm surge a major concern. Once it moves inland, the big concern is going to be flash flooding and also power outages. So as it moves over land, some tornadoes could form as well. For us, our biggest impact will be the wind and the rain. The rain could add up to a couple of inches, and the wind could be strong up to tropical storm force. Take a look at these watches and warnings. They extend far out from that center of where we are expecting that landfall. Hurricane warnings in place for the Gulf Coast. Hurricane watches in place in some areas, and tropical storm watches and warnings in place as well. We are under a tropical storm watch, and that is for the entire Charleston area up to Charleston County. ONDOT included in that, also under a coastal flood advisory that just started and goes until 11 a.m. this morning. Coastal flooding certainly possible, not only with this high tide between 8 and 9 a.m., but also later on this evening with our high tide later tonight. Just getting that onshore flow of moisture, the easterly winds pushing not only ocean water, but also some rain onshore. So we're picking up some wet weather here this morning, and we're going to continue to see that wet weather, an increase in our wet weather over the next several days. I'll tell you when and give you the timeline on when to expect those impacts from Michael. That's coming up in a few minutes.
We're going to continue to track Hurricane Michael, of course, and its path, and update you both on air as well as online.
7:04 now. Thousands of people attended the funeral for Florence Police Sergeant Terrence Caraway yesterday. He was shot and killed last Wednesday while on duty. Among those paying their respects, hundreds of law enforcement officers, and not just from the Palmetto State. Officers from North Carolina, Georgia, New Jersey, Virginia, and Pennsylvania made the trip. Sergeant Caraway's nearly 31-year career included awards for bravery and Officer of the Year.
Sergeant Caraway, the time that he placed in law enforcement was positive, good times so we can learn from him and say, hey, listen, I want to do as much as I can to continue to keep this community safe.
Sergeant Caraway is buried at Florence Memorial Gardens. 6 other officers, meanwhile, were wounded in Wednesday's shooting and are recovering.
The court will resume this morning in the kidnapping trial for Tammy Moore. That trial began yesterday up in Horry County. Moore facing kidnapping charges in the connection with Heather Elvis, who disappeared back in 2014. Prosecutors say that her husband, in fact, had a relationship with Elvis. According to court documents, Sidney Moore may be called to testify against Tammy, his wife. Also on the list of witnesses, Heather Elvis's parents.
Now to a Charleston County school dealing with a problem that has nothing to do with grades.
It's going to make your skin crawl, though. It's an issue that has pest control visiting 3 to 5 times per week.
Now, Brody Hart's live in North Charleston. Brody, what are they actually dealing with, and how long has this been going on?
Tessa, the school is dealing with a rodent problem. District officials say they've been trying to rid Garrett Academy of rats for at least 6 weeks. Now today, school board member Michael Miller is expected to stop by and check out the issue for himself. And I want you to take a look at these pictures. It'll show you exactly what we're talking about here. So those are pictures of rats caught in traps inside Garrett Academy classrooms. District officials say those were taken on August 22nd by a teacher and then shared on social media. We're told that teacher set those traps, which at this point have been removed, but officials say that teacher did not report the rat problem to the district or to maintenance. Now, we haven't been told if rats were spotted in any other areas of the school, but we do know the staff has requested the Department of Health and Environmental Control to inspect the food area today. But in the meantime, classes shouldn't be impacted by this. They will resume as normal today. But we're live in North Charleston this morning. Tessa and John, I'll get it back to you in the studio.
All right, Brody, thank you. Newly minted Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh will join the High Court on Capitol Hill today for his first day on the job. Reed Binion reporting ahead of his first day on the bench.
What happened to the Kavanaugh family violates every notion of fairness, decency, and due process.
President Trump speaking at Monday's ceremonial swearing